So we're going to talk about spreadsheets, and we're start at the very beginning. Even though some people may know some things about them, some people may not know. So to start at the beginning is super important, so everybody has the same terminology. So what we are looking at right here, technically, is called a worksheet. Now I know when we opened it up, we told it to open a blank workbook. But if there's only one sheet, it's only a worksheet. So if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, you'll notice that it's labeled Sheet 1. And there's a little plus sign next to it. If you click that, it adds another sheet. And you can click that plus button as many times as you want. Okay, add as many sheets as you want. It doesn't matter. The computer doesn't care. Now that we have multiple sheets here, now we're looking at a workbook. Now, a workbook is all one file. It doesn't matter how many sheets there are. So if you have 10 sheets, you just save it once. It saves the whole thing in one file. You save it once, it's all saved. Each one of these worksheets is divided into columns, which go vertically like this. Okay, and rows, which are horizontal. The columns are always labeled with letters of the alphabet, and the rows are always labeled with numbers. Where a column and a row meet, so here I've got column C and I've got row 5. They meet at only one place in the whole worksheet, right? That's right here. That is called a cell, C-E-L-L, cell. Each cell has a specific name or address. Sometimes they call it a cell name, sometimes they call it a cell address. The address or name of this cell right here is C5. The letter always goes first. This is not 5C. Okay, this is C5. If you ever get confused about that, there's actually a name box right up here on the left. You'll notice that your name box says the address or the name for the cell that you are currently have activated. The other thing that's kind of convenient about the name box is if you want to go somewhere in particular, like let's say I want to go to Z55, I can just type it in there and hit enter, and now here I am. I'm down at column Z, row 55. See that? And if I want to go back to home, I can just type in A1 there, and I'm back to A1. So please notice how many vocab words are flying at you. Okay, worksheet, workbook, columns, rows, vertical, horizontal, cell name or cell address, name box. Okay, but that's like the language of the spreadsheet. If I tell you to go to C5, you need to know how to get to C5. If I tell you to select from B1 to D17, you need to know how to select from D1 or from B1 to D17. Spreadsheets are extremely precise. They will do exactly what they're told, even if that's not what you wanted them to do. They will not read your mind. It will do exactly as it's told. Each one of these cells can hold different types of information. Now this is kind of a new concept for a lot of people using computers. They think all information is the same, but it's not. Okay, the spreadsheet actually separates out types of information. First of all, the most common type is if I wanted to, I could just type in here. I can just type my name in there. Boom, it loves it. It's fantastic. It's right there, right? Or I can type a number in there. Notice that the spreadsheet is treating the word and the numbers differently. How can I tell it's treating them differently? Okay, so one's on the left and one's on the right. That's what they call general alignment. Now, when you're talking alignment like in a word processor, you've got left, center, and you've got right. In spreadsheets, there's another one called general alignment. General alignment basically means the letters are on, anything comprised of letters is going to be put on the left, and anything that's comprised entirely of numbers is going to be put on the right. It does this on purpose. That's because in the real world, that's kind of how it works. Since we speak English, when you read and write, where do you start? On the left. Boom. Words are lining up on the left. However, when you do math, how do you line up numbers to do like long addition? A lot of people say you line them up on the right, but you actually don't. You actually line them up by the decimal point, right? Now, the computer's not going to be so picky. Like if I put in 123.425 right there, it's not going to be so picky to throw in a period and 2 zeros to line this up unless I tell it. I mean, I can tell it to do that, but I'm not going to. But it still tries to get close by putting all the numbers on the right. Now, I don't have to leave them there. If I don't like it that way, I've got my alignment tools right here in this alignment section. I can do everything on the left, I can do everything in the center, I can do everything on the right. Or if I click any of those a second time, it turns it off and puts it back to general alignment. Words on the left, numbers on the right. A third type of information that you can type into a spreadsheet is I can type in an equation. For instance, I can ask the computer, what is 9 times 9? And when I hit enter, it gives me the answer, 81. Okay, now, I don't know how many people have seen that before, but notice that I did not type 81 in that cell. I typed 9 times 9, and it's showing me the answer. If I decide that my equation has got a problem and I need to go fix it, I can either fix it up here in the formula bar, or I can double click down here and fix it right here in the cell. But if I just leave it alone, it's just going to say the answer, 81. Simple as that. Okay, so we're going to mess with equations a lot, like later, because that's kind of the magic of the spreadsheet. But for now, I'm going to back up just a little bit. We're going to talk about this border thingy right here. Okay, now I've heard a lot of people call this different things. They call it the activity marker or the cell activity cursor, the, whatever. Just this border thing. This thing confuses the students. And you wouldn't think it'd be that confusing, but that's what makes it confusing, is you think it's super simple, but it's not. And this chunk of the lecture, you should try this out on your screen, trust me. Because if you can't get this under control, the computer's literally going to slap you silly. I've literally had kids cry over this. Like high school kids, I'm not even kidding. High school kids have cried over this thing. Because they assume it only does one thing, which is the first thing it does, pretty simple. It tells you where your typing is going to go. Like if I have this cell, E7, active like that with the activity marker, right? And I type anything, like let's say I type anything, where's it going to go? Okay, I know it's going to go in E7, right? Okay, but that's only the first thing this little sucker does. Here's the second thing it does. If I have something in that cell with this activity border around it, and I grab that right on the border, notice how my cursor changes. Okay, when my mouse is right over the border, my cursor changes to like a quadra arrow thingy, right? If I mouse it down right there, hit my mouse button, and hold on to it, and I drag it and I drop it, it takes whatever's in that cell and it moves it to wherever I drag it and drop it to. It doesn't matter, I just drag it, drop it. So if you're trying to select multiple cells and you click on the edge, it's not going to select multiple cells, it's going to drag and drop. But if you want to select multiple cells and you click dead center, notice how I've got that fat white outline cross looking thing, right? If I click dead center on the first one and drag, then it selects multiple cells. So it's totally different. And the only difference on your part is exactly where is that cursor when you press the mouse button. That's the important part. Where is the cursor? If it's right in the middle, you're going to get multiple cells. If it's right on the edge, you're going to drag and drop. Here's a third thing that little border does. And this one's weird because we talk all about it and then kids use it exactly the opposite of what it's used for. If you'll notice on this border, this frame, there's one spot of it that's different. The lower right-hand corner is like a little box down there, right? A little square. If you grab exactly on that little square, that little handle, and you grab it and you drag it, it takes whatever's in that cell and it copies it. So if I want to select multiple cells, I click center and I move. But if I want to copy the cell, I click right on that little handle and drag it, and it copies that. That little handle is actually called the fill handle. I like to call it the magic fill handle because here's something it does that's kind of cool. The fill handle is capable of filling a series. And by series, I mean like anything that goes in order. For instance, the days of the week. They always go in the same order, don't they? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Pretty simple. So if I have something like Monday in this cell, and I go to copy that, the computer's going to assume I don't want Monday, 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 because that's not how it works. It's going to assume that I want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's filling a series. And it just does that kind of automatically by default whenever it notices something in there that should be a series. For instance, months of the year. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Okay, I can even do abbreviated months of the year. Start with June, July, August, September, October. I can do even days, like if I wanted to do like July 1st. Shazam, July 1st through July 11th. I can even make stuff up. Like, let's say I own a dog kennel or something where people board their dogs, right? So I got dog number 1 all the way down through dog 15. Since I'm a teacher, maybe I want to do student 1 all the way down through student 16. It recognizes that you might want that in a series and throws it into a series by default because of the way I type that in. Now, this does not read your mind. Let's say I wanted just a list of 1 through 10. So I put in a 1, I drag it down, and it just gives me a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's because it's not programmed to, by default, fill a series on just numbers. It has to be like some combination of letters and numbers to do a series. Or it has to be a legit series like days of the week, months of the year. But you'll notice every time I've done that, and if you've done this on your screen, you're looking at it right now. Down after I do this fill down, there's this little blue box down there. See that? Those are your autofill options. As usual, you don't have to put up with whatever the computer says the default is. You can change it later if you want to. This is how you change it. You go into your autofill options, and you'll notice that right now it's set to copy the cell. But if I tell it to fill a series, now I have 1 through 18 instead of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So if it gave me 1 through 18 and that's not what I wanted, I would also open up these autofill options and tell it, instead of filling a series, to copy cells. For instance, if I did really want Monday, 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 let's say my business is only open on Monday, but I don't want that, so I open up my autofill options and tell it to copy, and boom, I have Monday, Monday, Monday. Anything the computer does by default, you can override. You just have to remember how. See how that works? It's pretty slick, huh? You've got to also remember this program was designed for business people to be able to track things or calculate things as easily as possible. It really does try to make your life as easy as possible when you're using it. You just got to know how to interface with it. You've got to know how to tell it what you want, because it's going to do what it's told, whether that's what you want or not. You cannot read your mind. So you got to get used to that whole communicate with the computer business. Last thing I want to tell you, notice what happens if I want to highlight this whole area and I want to just delete all the data out of these cells. I see students do this all the time. They highlight the whole area and then they punch high school students' favorite key on the keyboard. I kid you not, is the backspace key. They love that thing. I see kids hit the backspace key when they didn't even need to. It's just a twitch, right? But if you hit the backspace key right here, it assumes you want to edit this cell at the first cell that you selected there, because the backspace in this program is an editing key. It assumes you want to edit something, right? But if you highlight a whole area like this and hit the delete key, then it deletes all of the contents of whatever you have selected. So in this program, the backspace and the delete key are totally different keys.